Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at the overall cycle and what sort of, I suppose, predictions or projections is probably the better word for where we're going to be in the future and where we are kind of now. So I'm going to look at Bitcoin for this. I'm going to show you the total 2 market cap, which is basically all altcoins, including stable coins, and the market cap of that. So there's a couple of things that we're going to do here, and again, I'm not showing you predictions. I'm not saying that this is exactly the price of the exact market cap that we're going to be. That's not possible, all right? It's not possible to do that. Now, you'll have so many YouTube channels, as I'm sure you've waded through loads of them yourself, that have these very specific predictions that appeal to the hope and dreams of the individual. It's just not possible, right? It's just not possible to look so far ahead with pinpoint accuracy and tell you how much an altcoin will be or where exactly what it is that we're going to do. I know that it's hard not to buy into these sort of things, but try to take a dose of reality from this channel, which is what it's all about. Because I trade for a living, by the way, so this is my, this is how you want to call it, a job. I mean, this is how I make my money. So I have to be tuned into reality, and I urge you to be tuned into reality also. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt, right? That's what happens. So there's a couple of things we're going to do. And again, this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, right? So we're going to first of all think about the previous cycle and the cycle prior to that, the peak to peak, and how long that took. Again, this is projections, not predictions. So it took around 1,400 days, right, roughly. So if we were to think about what that is going to look like from this next peak, roughly we're talking about finding a peak somewhere around September 25th. There's your exact prediction. If I was one of those young, fresh-faced 4K resolution YouTubers, I would say exactly that. You are going to be a millionaire on the 25th of September 2025. I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say we're going to mark this area off as a potential area where the time is running out for the market based on previous cycle peak to peak. And again, it's a projection, not a prediction. Don't highlight 25th of September on your calendar and get ready to sell everything. That's not what I'm saying. Now we're going to do something that I don't normally do. I hate doing these sort of things, but I'm just going to show you. This is a fractal, and you're going to see a big difference, but you're going to see some similarities, right? So we're going to look at that. Okay, so there's your fractal coming in at the 25th of September. Oh no, it's 1 week after. Oh my God, completely. Who am I? What am I talking about? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyway, this isn't about showing you the exact carbon copy, which is what most people will do. They'll put this in there, and the fractals are used to inflate dreams. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to show you the similarities, right? So the reason that this is more volatile, the previous cycle, is for a number of reasons. Market cap was a lot smaller. There was less stable coins involved as well, and so with the dilution of the amount of stable coins and the size of the market cap, and again we had a market cap at the bear market bottom of 433 billion, which was exactly basically the previous, well, not exactly, but quite close to the previous cycle market top. So the bear market ended with the same volume or with the same market cap as the previous bull market prior to that's top. So way more money involved in it, lots of it being stable coins, by the way. So you're going to see less volatility. So hopefully that makes sense. But let's just have a little look at the way that it's shaped out. So this is your top, this is your bear market. The bear market for both cycles, as we can see, kind of ended in a similar way. The bear market for the 2017 into 18 bear market lasted almost exactly a year, whereas our the most recent bear market lasted over a year, just over a year, right? And there's reasons for that as well. There was global liquidity. We wouldn't call it a liquidity crisis, but interest rates were being raised as inflation was skyrocketing. So there was a global effort to combat inflation, which had been generated from the black swan environment here. And all markets were propped up by enormous amounts of liquidity. That there was the money printing from all central banks. Anyway. So yeah, there was reasons for it to not be exactly the same. But let's have a little look. So the bear market came down. Both markets had a little bounce. Then it continued to come down. Both had a little bounce. Again, recognize that the most recent bear market did take longer, but the bounces were similar, you know, within a month or so of each other. Found a low, it sort of found a low, and then crept back up, had a consolidation, continued to go back up, Black Swan, we don't have one of those this time, and then all the way back up. And at the moment we found a peak around here, we consolidated, we found a low, moved back up, lower high, and what we do now, because this is where we are right now, this is where we exist in reality, in this little portion here. So we might come down from here, we might double bottom, we might break down, we don't know. It's a projection, not a prediction. But what I can tell you is that if we're thinking about time and cycle, there's still further upside to go given enough time. We've not reached the peak, which, like I said, is exactly the 25th of September 2025. Actually, no, it's not. It's the 15th of September. My mistake. Ooh. Projection, not prediction. So, understanding this and thinking about this, what does this actually mean? What's the point of this? Well, it's a model, isn't it? It's a model, just like the 4-year market cycle for Bitcoin. The crypto market as a whole follows Bitcoin because that's the leader. It takes up at least most of the time the good portion, if not half, of the market cap of all crypto combined. So we're looking for a period in the market where we might go sideways. Effectively, it's going to be sideways, but it could result in further downside. Either way, what we should be thinking about is allocating throughout this period here. Because once this area is broken, we should be going all the way up. And I'm not saying that we're going to hit $5 trillion market cap in the altcoin market. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying that this period now is either going to be sideways or sideways and down. Might even go up. But basically sideways, effectively. And with that, we should think about dollar cost averaging between now and the end of this year. And towards the end of this year, we should stop all of that. And whatever we've got in crypto, we should leave and allow to move up in the later part of the cycle, which is normally the more aggressive, perhaps maybe even parabolic portion of the market cycle, where we will peak. Now, this had a double peak, a double top. And anyone who is part of my channel, or I would imagine most traders' channels, who have any kind of rough understanding of cycles, we were always talking about December 2021 as a rough area to think about a market cycle peak. That was always the holy grail. I know my subscribers will know that. We're always talking about that. December 2021, we're going to be rich, man. It wasn't perfect. Where was it? Where did the actual peak take place? November the 8th, 2021. December 2021, we did find a lower high, but it's relatively still quite high. And so it was quite accurate. It wasn't perfect. It was quite accurate. Accurate enough to have made decent money out of this market, from allocating at lower places, hodling and riding all the way up. So I'm one of those people that says, look, there's a model here. I don't have any reason to doubt that the model isn't still relevant. There's a couple of reasons, important reasons, that there is a 4-year market cycle. One of them being that there's a Bitcoin halving that takes place roughly every 4 years. There's also a dollar cycle that also roughly hangs around in a 4-year cycle. Now, there's external forces that you can think about which might change the goalposts, and that's fine if we see certain things that make us change the trading environment. We have to change, obviously, with that. But for the moment, the cycle remains similar enough to expect continuation in the same way. And again, rough, not perfect, but rough. Projection, not prediction, all right? And so I think that the most appropriate thing to do for anyone who wants to make money out of crypto is to not think about exact prices and perhaps maybe not even get too attached to exact times, but roughly recognizing that now we're about halfway through the bullish portion of the market. The bear market's finished. We're halfway through the bull market uptrend. We've got another half to go. And with that half, previously, has come the more aggressive portion. And so we should all recognize in real life that there is no way to get the absolute low, and there's also no way to get the absolute high. Recognize that we were always predicting 2021 December as the bull market peak. It was close, but it wasn't perfect. It was close enough. And if you're part of my channel, I was quite vocal about taking chips off the table as we approached that area. And then when, I suppose the turning point for me was, at some point November into December, there was Omicron came around, and I was like, all right, well, that's it for me. I'm not dealing with another strain of this stuff, and that's it for me. And took a sizable portion of, obviously, all my altcoins for the most part, and about 30% of my Bitcoin that I'd bought around 4,000, I took off the table, and cashed in. Didn't catch that high, and by the way, I recognise what I said. I bought around 4,000 for Bitcoin, and for Ethereum I bought around $160. So I didn't catch the low, I didn't catch the high, but I definitely got a decent amount of price action between the low and the high, and that's something we always have to recognise. There's going to be someone out there that says, "Well, I bought the absolute low, good for you," and there'll be someone else out there, I sold the absolute top, good for you." It's easy to say these things in comments, but it's harder to do it in reality. And we should accept that we can't really ever do that in reality, But close enough. So I'm telling you that my general vibes and predictions, I said the wrong word, projections, are one of dollar cost averaging into this period here, which if we were to zoom right in and we think about the total 2, which is heavily diluted with stable coins, could see another pullback of around about 14%, give or take. Which means that some altcoins could come down 5, some could come down 50, But generally, we're looking at an area on a chart which is giving us, an opportunity to allocate into altcoins if that's what you want, for a longer term position, building a portfolio basically before we break out and continue up with the later part of the cycle, which is the most exciting part. The time is nigh, and with every drop that we get on an altcoin, significant one, let's call it, every major big pullback, for 10% or so, and if you want that altcoin, then you buy it. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. That's not for me to do. This is just a video, just generally for, I suppose you could call it educational, but it's a dose of reality, which is why I might even decide to put some form of clickbait on here, because everybody else uses clickbait, and then they sell you a pipe dream which is based around nothing other than their model of some YouTubers, their entire model of profit is based around getting you to click on stuff and making money off your clicks. My model is completely different. I trade for a living, I make my money out of trading, and I make YouTube videos just to keep myself company, really, for a laugh. So I'm not in it for the clicks, but I do get a bit annoyed that the people who are the most prolific, or a lot of the people who are the most prolific, are the ones who sell the biggest load of BS, and it's damaging. It's damaging to the individual, because people get involved in crypto, and I'm sure we've all got our own story about how we got involved. And when you first get involved, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's what, who's who, where to trade, what's what, blah 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 blah. The whole place is a minefield, and before you know it, you've made loads of mistakes, because who are you getting your advice from? Just people off the internet who most likely aren't trading for a living. So anyway, I thought I'd make this video to give you what I think is probably the most rational way to approach this market at this period in time, between now and perhaps maybe the end of this year. And then once that's done and this area breaks, certainly when the next when this area breaks, which is the previous peak, that's where we shoot and go crazy. And then we should start to get a little cautious as we approach this significant area, which, as far as time is concerned, is relatively important. I'm not going to go into too much detail, or any detail at all, about all the other reasons why this might not work. But for the moment, we do have a projection, and this is what I am looking at. And unless we have significant changes to the way that the overall trading environment, not just for crypto and Bitcoin, but for all markets are concerned, I'll stick to this as a general rule, a rough guide as to what I expect and where we should expect to be in the future, in about a year or so from now. That is all. Right, I hope you liked that video. Leave a comment if you did. Share it to people who don't know what the hell's going on, and give them a dose of reality, because this is the reality. This isn't any bold predictions. This is just about time, cycle and time, and a rational approach to trading the market. or should not even trading, just investing the market, investing into the crypto market. I'm not talking enormous gains. I'm not talking about perfect allocations. I'm not making bold predictions. I'm just trying to explain to you in simple terms where we are right now, where we're looking to go in the future, and how to take advantage of this period between now and perhaps maybe the end of the year, which is a sideways period, sideways and down, maybe sideways and up, but just generally sideways, between now and the end of this year, where we can allocate into altcoins and then just sit back and hope that we got it right, because we might not have, and then just hopefully sail it up to wherever it's going to be, towards this time next year, maybe a little later. Right, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share, do it all, and maybe even join the Patreon, because there's links in the description below for that. All right, thanks for watching. Take it easy.